Hello beautiful ladies, and welcome to the first video in my new series, Back to Basics, a skill building series. So I'm going to start off by saying I am doing this video series in collaboration with Wrapunzel. All of the scarves and the shapers that I'm using in this series are from Wrapunzel. Some, I'm going to say most of which I purchased myself over a few years of knowing about and loving Wrapunzel. Some of them I did pick up from Wrapunzel. They were given to me so that I could do tutorials with them. So I'm going to start out with that. This is super exciting because I wish somebody had put together this kind of series when I first started wrapping, because I feel like this is a huge collection. It's a lot to process. It's a lot to go through and figure out what I'm going to wear for the day. And I thought, well, what would happen if I had very limited time to build my scarf collection and a limited budget? So I was putting together the scarves that I thought would coordinate well. You could make many different looks with these scarves, and you wouldn't have to necessarily repeat the same style or wear the same exact combination for a good long time. So I really hope you enjoy this. I will include in the description box, sorry, this is a lot of information, so I made myself some notes. So I will be looking down during this video because I'm not really good at memorizing stuff. I'm going to apologize for that right off. I may get off in a little bit of rambling. So I have my scarves next to me, and we're going to be discussing several different topics in this particular video. But this one is the tutorial for beginning wrappers. That sounds so cool, wrappers. But it's for when you're first starting out, and I honestly really wish somebody had made a video, or that I had found a video like this. So I'm going to cut this short and go to start talking about the Tichels. Okay, so for this I have split it up into different tips. I think there are 7 of them. I'm going to take a peek. Yes, there are 7 of them about scarves and just basic wrapping before we start talking about the actual tying of the Tichels. So when you're just starting out and you're trying to figure out, what should I purchase, what scarves will work best, I'm not sure what wraps I'm going to be doing, so you're overwhelmed. At least I was when I first started, overwhelmed with choices. There are so many styles and so many pretty scarves. There's silk ones and cotton and pashminas. I'm hoping that this first idea, this first tip will give you a place to start. So for me, I found that if I wrapped with certain scarves, it was much easier than others. So I'm going to give you a couple. I'll hold them up for you. The Israeli Tichels are the world's easiest to work with. They're square, they're extra huge, large square. You can wear them with any of the shapers. You can wear them with velvet headband. You can wear it by themselves. In fact, I'm wearing a peach and silver right now on my head of Israeli Tichel. I have on a velvet headband under here, and my hair is just all coiled up in the back. It's super simple. Most versatile are the Israelis. Now, the next one I want to talk about is one I wish I had a million of, honestly. It is this beautiful 2-in-1. Now, this one I'm holding is a Tuff 2-in-1. It's a little bit thicker than the original Tuff, the original 2-in-1, but I do like that it's got grip. It's very thin, and it makes for easy layering. So I could put this one and this one together, and it wouldn't be super huge and bulky. Now in this video, we're just going to be focusing on single scarf wraps, because that's the very beginning. It's best to start with one scarf. But again, These are phenomenal. Now, the next best scarf that I found is a Petal Soft. This is a very, very light, you can see me through it. It's a very, very light cotton scarf, rectangular. It bunches up pretty well. Again, layers phenomenally. You can have this with the Israeli, you can have it with a 2-in-1, you can put it with a Sari Sash, so many different possibilities with this scarf. Now, in an ideal world, I would have this one in brown turquoise and a cream or a tan color, but this one is the one I had, so that's the one I'm going to be using in this series, unless somewhere in my budget I find some monies to pick up the other ones. Then I'll show you those in this Tichel wardrobe. The next scarf I'm going to talk about, it's the jersey scarf, the t-shirt Tichels. I have on this hand is an extra long t-shirt Tichel. This is phenomenal. Extra super long. It's helpful if you have a bigger head to use this one. You get all the complicated wraps. But it's really fun and pretty. Easy to wrap. The only thing I would caution you against is pulling the jerseys too tight when you're wrapping around your head. You could give yourself a headache, and that's especially so if you suffer from migraines like I do. Just be careful when wrapping them that you do not pull too hard on. Now this one is the standard one. Again, they're similar fabrics. I mean, it's jersey, but this one's a little bit smaller in the length and a little wider. So, but this one is, again, these are the staples, so you can combine, mix, match, do pretty much every wrap with these, with the exception of they're really hard to pleat. I will say that. I wouldn't try to pleat with these, at least not until you're way advanced, and then the pleats will not be the same as if you pleated with my next absolute favorite, cranberry. This one, I have it folded the wrong side out because I thought this color would go better with the collection, this light gold, but it is our saffron. This is the scarf that looks the best on everybody. I don't think I've met a person that can't wear this, and that's odd for a scarf. It's odd for a color that everybody seems to be able to wear this guy. But this one is my favorite for pleating. This one is just brilliant at pleating. But you could also do the beginner's wraps like the Regal, the Yael, the pretty much all the wraps. The Marrakesh looks really, really pretty with a cranberry. Anytime you want to have a bit of pattern by your face, it works for that too. So the only thing is you be careful with layering and wrapping. I did a video not too long ago where I wore 2 of these. They tend to be a little heavier, a little bulkier, so when first starting out, I would recommend just using this and getting used to it and what it does, and then you can add in another scarf with it. I do like the look of this with a shimmery, and we'll talk about that one next. That's right there. But this one, again, really good for wrapping. Now this one, way to make super fancy wraps. This is just perfect. All the sparkle and shine, even your simplest wrap will look fancy with this guy. It's two-sided. The one side is very smooth and the other side is sort of rough, which I think helps it grip itself. So if I'm gonna just put it on my head really quick, if I'm wrapping with it and I bring it around, the grippy part keeps it from sliding off of itself. So we'll wrap it over and you can see pretty pretty much. I'm not super pulling this tight, but I'm giving enough tension like I would have if I had tied a knot. So this is helpful. So that's why I put it in with the beginner's staples, because this is easy peasy to wrap with. It's unlike some of the other ones, the silk, flimsy silk ones. I have a bunch of them back there that I don't end up using a lot, because if I'm moving around and doing a lot of stuff, they tend to slip backwards, and I don't always want to stab pins into them, because once you start stabbing pins into them, it messes up the scarf. You can't avoid it. It happens. Okay, so my next scarf is another one of those, oh my gosh, you are amazing. You make every wrap look fancier. It's the New York Brights. This happens to be a brown one, which brown, it just doesn't suit the beautiful color of this, because you have all those colors in here. I like this. I like to layer with this one, but it can also be done with just an angled regal Yael with the tail. There's just so many things you can do with this. Also think that if you combined this one with another wrap with sparkles, this could be dressed up to be super amazing and fancy. So that's again going to the next portion where we're doing 2 scarves or more. But this one is so nice to wrap with. It doesn't slip off. It's grippy. It's light, so summertime, this one's great. All right, now, soft pashmina. It took me a long time to get comfortable with using a lot of pashminas, because I live in Baltimore. We have hot summers, and well, right now we're having this weird winter where it's hottish one day, which hottish means it's really warm compared to what it should be outside, especially for February, early March. So I wasn't going to get a lot of use. Our warm weather ends somewhere in October-ish, September-ish. It depends. Wait 15 minutes and the weather will change. But these are great when you're first starting out with pashminas. This is even better to start out with than the cranberry, even though the cranberry is a lot prettier with all the detailing. Because as you can see, it's very, very light. It has a bit of give to it, a little bit of stretch. My favorite wrap with this one is Shira Tails. Now, I'm saying all of these wraps. I am making a playlist that I'm going to be putting a link to in the description box, so you guys, for easy to find. I did not make any of these videos. I may put some of my videos in there, but I did not make these videos. I found them when the Wrapunzel. I found them in other places, so with other beautiful ladies wrapping. I'm going to try to be inclusive, so send me a message if you have a favorite wrap goddess, wrap sister that you want to see on the list. Definitely open for new experiences and new wrap styles. So again, this one is super easy to work with. The pleating is different because it is a lighter scarf. The pleating is a bit different than with the cranberry. You have to experiment a little bit with that. Now, keeping on with the pashminas, this is a Lakeshore Bliss. This particular one is a blue. Again, in a perfect world, I would have this in the cream and brown, or some of the other colors that would really match, like a teal, or just colors that would go better. Maybe a pewter, or not pewter, that was silly. A black or something that would go along with my background. As you can see behind me, that's where I pulled all these scarves from for my capsule wardrobe. But this one is the one I have, and again, it's really pretty. But this scarf wraps just like the soft pashmina, because while it's slightly heavier, because you can't see me through it, it's not as heavy as some of the other pashminas. And again, I love this one for sheer tails. Sheer tails, just, this one is fabulous. You can combine this one with, and I think, where are you? We're in the bottom. Here you are. You can combine this and this, you know, the Israeli and the Lakeshore Bliss, and have a beautiful look for the sheer tails. I'm gonna have to find the video that Andrea did on how she wrapped with both of these. And I'll put it in the playlist. Now here is the last pashmina I'm going to talk about in this one, because I'm not talking about the tapestry in this particular video. It's a very heavy scarf, and I want to keep this one to the scarves that are the most versatile, the easiest to use for beginners. And that is just the solid pashmina. Now this one is a tan, but it comes in lots and lots of colors. And again, easy to wrap. Pretty much every wrap you can do with this one, all the beginner's wraps, I'm gonna say. Bear in mind, it's a pashmina, so probably not on that 98-degree day with 75% humidity. You might not want to do that to yourself. But it makes for a great spring and fall type wrap, or if you're like me and love going to the shore in the summertime. In the evenings it gets really windy and cold at my favorite shore spot, so this would make a perfect wrap for that. Now I'm going to talk about, this is our last scarf I'm going to talk about, because I forgot the Shinylicious, and I mean I like it, but I like this one better. This is the Sparkalicious. It's a little bit heavier than the Shinylicious, and I feel like I could wear this. I feel like I do wear this more. And it's personal preference. Again, the other one, the Shinylicious, has a little more texture and it's a little thinner, so combining multiple of those would be great, but it's back on the rack. I'll probably pull it out and talk about it in my next video. So this one, again, very, very pretty, adds glamour. I could totally put this into any single scarf wrap, and going to a wedding, add just a little clip, a brooch. Here, we'll show this one. This is what I've got right now laying out on my counter. When I was picking the accessories, I didn't want to show you stuff that I've had in my collection since, you know, they were my mother's, or stuff that I've had in my collection that's not available. I did not think that was fair. But these things are available for purchase. So, and I kept it simple. The another way you can add a bit of fun with these single scarf wraps is by adding a headband. Now I'm going to go with the same thing. I don't want to show you the many headbands I've picked up because some of them are not available on the site, and I don't want you to have to go searching for finding these things or find out that they're no longer available at all. So this is an amazing product. I love it. Because it's versatile, it turns every necklace you have pretty much into a headband. I'd also like to talk about Sari, the Sari, oh, my brain, I need more coffee. I'd like to talk about these Sari Sashes. That's the word I'm looking for. The Sari Sashes and the Sari Strips. Reach down and grab them. These are really awesome. Both the solid ones and the printed ones, for adding a bit of color. That's kind of cool. Adding a bit of color without adding another scarf. This really works well for for beginners and even one into advanced and our wrap savvy ladies. So, and just because I probably could put this in a separate section, but I'm going to make an entire video on color choosing, color choice, color coordinating. But I'm going to show you something really fun and interesting with one of these scarves. Okay, so we have this beautiful Lakeshore Bliss. I will not be wrapping with this one. This one is just because I was looking at the colors and I thought this one would be a great choice for this demonstration. Now this one has a beautiful, I'm going to call it olive green and this bright fuchsia. It's amazing on the one side. But it's more, you can see the detail more on the back side. So, but it's a bright color. Now combining scarves with this color is, you would think it would be difficult, you know, to kind of, I'm going to say mute it, but to balance this in your face color. So I'm going to just put it on my head. The easiest way for me to show you is to put it on my head. Okay. All right. So folding it over just like I do for all my other wraps. And I'm going to put it on my head like so. Now, as you can see, this is a really bright color. I'll just push this back a little bit. Okay. So, when I'm choosing what color I want to highlight, when I'm choosing something to accent this, I like to pull the less dominant color, which would be the olive. Now, I can do this, and this would be really great. Let's see. Let's just tie it. Feels really weird having two wraps on, but we're just gonna go with it. Okay. Okay, so we've got the olive and this pink. It kind of limits the amount of this pink that's against my face, because I know I love olive green and I know that it complements my complexion, but some of the pinks are really harsh. So, okay, back to the wrapping. And I'm just going to wrap it right quick. Bring it up and back. Okay, so. All right, it's good enough. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. This will give us that, we're going to do, this is a crisscrossy fun thing, but as you can see, this is what it would look like doing a crisscross kind of look with this scarf. It kind of balances and it coordinates, and this is how I choose my colors. Now, if I wanted to add a little bit of a different look, I would take that original scarf that I so love with this beautiful, it's a sash, with this beautiful flower detail, and I would put the flower, because I find the most attractive angle for me is having the flower at the edge, the center of the flower at the edge of my eyebrow. It just lifts my face. At least I feel it does. So I'm going to quickly wrap this. All right, and adjust that flower again. because I feel like it fell. See, if I rotate it down, I feel like my face looks wider than if I'm bringing your attention more towards the top, like so. Okay, still a single scarf wrap, so I don't feel like I'm cheating too much with this one. All right, bring it over. For this one, I'm just going to tie it off. I'm not bothering with the bringing it around. Now, if I were wrapping this for real and paying attention to what I were doing, this end would be the long end, and this end would be the short end. But since I'm not, I'm just going to bring this one up and tuck it away in the back. And I'm just going to cheat this to make it look like I tied this properly. And you see, you have a completely different look because I've chosen a pink that is subtler but still in the same family, and this tan, which coordinates really well. It has a little bit of a greenish tint to it, I feel, but it coordinates really well with the green. It kind of mellows it out. Honestly, it almost looks, with the brown, it almost looks more brownish than olive. So I can get this off my head. It's getting really hot. And I hope this demonstration is helpful when you're picking out scarves and, oops, there we go. All right. And seeing how my process works a little bit. Again, I will do an entire video on color choices, but I thought this would be a great time to introduce the subject while we're talking about sashes and strips. All right. Okay, so my next piece of advice, it might seem like common sense, but you'd be surprised how many times this has happened and how many times I've done this not thinking. But do not try out the new wrap with the new scarf or any combination of the above on the day you need to go to an event, the wedding, or on a day that you do not have the time to take with wrapping. Be patient. It takes time. And just because you mastered, we'll just throw out the Regal wrap, does not mean the Regal wrap is going to cooperate with every single scarf you have. It just, you get a new scarf, take time ahead of time to wrap it, just practice wraps, or wait until you have a bit more time to take with the new wrap. Now, in the beginning, it's not as important to do this, you know, giving yourself lots and lots and lots of time. Again, the simpler wraps, the beginner wraps, you don't need as much practice with. But it is important to remember this when you're moving on to 2 scarf wraps or more intricate wraps, that you need to give yourself a break. This is basically what I'm saying. Give yourself a break, give your family a break. Take time ahead of time, wrap it up, figure out what the pitfalls of each scarf are, figure out the best lengths to have on each side. You'd be surprised how one of the littlest things could tip you over the edge into a full-blown Tichel tantrum. Now, I'm hoping that bit of advice will help you out. Again, I didn't know this in the beginning. It took me a little bit of time to figure out why nothing was working, why I couldn't get the shaper on properly. I was like, I've got to get out of the house in 5 minutes, but I really wanted to wear this really, really beautiful wrap, and the scarf wouldn't tie, or I'm rambling, but I hope you get the gist of that part. And that goes into my next section, which is the 3 Ps. Now, it's kind of cliche, sorry, but it works. It's cliche for a reason. Patience, practice, perseverance in anything. You have to be patient, because it's a new skill takes a long time to learn. It takes a long time. If you were an artist and you were painting, you know, Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and all of these people, they didn't just wake up one day and create masterpieces. It's a learning process. You know, chefs don't wake up one day and be like, I'm a chef. I know how to cook everything. I can do everything. Everything comes out perfect. So be patient. And then practice, because practice makes better. I'm not going to say practice makes perfect, because perfection is overrated. Practice makes better. Practice with your scarves. You know, tickle play, and that's kind of fun to do this. Our children have playtime, and we spend time doing a lot of other things. We practice putting on our eyeshadows. We practice with a lot of things in our lives. We practice that instrument to learn a new piece of music. Well, this is the same thing. You need practice. So adding a little bit of tickle play, it gives you a way to spend time on you, which is important that we do self-care. And self-care is different for everybody. But for me, this is my meditation. When I take the 5 to 10 minutes several times a week, once a week, twice a month. I mean, it doesn't matter. Whichever you choose, I do recommend grabbing your scarf. Doesn't have to be a new one. It can be something that's your favorite. And I do recommend that one. One you've worked with before is good for meditating. It's good for trying out the new wrap. And then once you've mastered it with a scarf that you understand and that you love, moving on to a scarf that you've never used before. That way you're like, okay, it's not that I don't know how to wrap. It's not that I don't know how to wrap this style. It's not that I'm not getting the style. It's that the scarf is different and I have to learn the new scarf. At least for me, that's helpful for me. So I'm hoping that I explained that properly. But I've gone into the next step, which was 5, was setting aside the time for yourself, the time to learn, the time to practice, the time to play. But I've skipped over perseverance. But keep at it. Keep at it. You know, we fail. It happens. Some of my best wraps are ones that I completely failed at. I mean, it's just, I couldn't get the crisscrosses, and you're like, no. Olivia is known for crisscrossy wraps and pleating. Well, you know what? I didn't grab the scarf, put it on my head, and pleat it perfectly the first time. It took much time. I mean, many wraps to get to the point where I can understand what I'm doing with the pleats and make it work with the scarf that I'm picking up. And know that I'm not going to get the same pleats out of this t-shirt Tichel that I will out of my pashminas. And with back to the crissy-cross wraps, I could never get all the pink on this side and all the green on this side. I couldn't do it. I just didn't understand it. I watched the videos and I watched them and I watched them and I watched them, and I ended up with a pink and a green and a pink. And also both going this way and both going this way at the same time, not realizing that number one, I had to get both tails on this side, you know, both the pink on this side, both the green on this side, and then alternate. It took me a very long time to figure out what I was doing wrong, and that's an easy. Well, why didn't you know? Didn't you notice that the lady was wrapping with both pinks on this side and both greens on this side? No. So perseverance. Try and try and try. I think it was helpful for me in the beginning to grab one wrap per week, and wrap with a bunch of different scarves. You know, 7 days in a week, 7 different scarves, same wrap. So that was really helpful starting out, just so that it gives you time to master a wrap and not master, but understand the differences between your scarves. So finally, this is the last bit of advice. Scarves are not Pokemon. We do not need to collect them all. And you're laughing at me right this minute because, yeah, no. This has been, my grandmother started my addiction many, many, many years ago. And for some reason, I can't let go of things. It's one of those things, those character flaws that I've learned to live with myself. When it comes into my collection, it never seems to leave. I'm working on this. I would not be the one to go through and de-stash. I think I'd have to have somebody come in and do it for me. But again, they're not Pokemon. Don't buy every scarf out there, especially if it's a color you will not wear. If it's a color that you say, oh, I don't look good in this color. Orange is not my color. Okay, that's fine. I do not believe orange is the new black. But you recognize that and you go, okay, I'm not going to buy the colors in this over here. So you don't have to buy those. But I'm rambling, so I'm going to get back on topic. The best thing to do is to find the colors you wear the most, the colors you fancy the most, the color, you know, the scarves that you love to look at. And stick with that color theme, the ones that will go best with your wardrobe. Again, I can't lecture people on having too much, having too many styles, because I'm all over the place. Today I'm wearing neutrals. Tomorrow I could be wearing my hot pink flamingo outfit with the teal and because I'm odd like that. But typically people have a style, have an aesthetic. If I'm a neutral person, choose neutrals. When I was choosing this capsule wardrobe, capsule Tichel wardrobe, that's kind of fun. I tried to keep it neutral with a pop of green. It's like several of my makeup palettes. They're neutrals with a pop of color. So I chose teal turquoise. They're pretty close in color. But if that's your wardrobe, choose scarves in that and then build on that, because if you're first starting out and you say I can buy 10 scarves, you're going to want to mix and combine, and you don't want to buy the red, white, and blue scarf and a teal scarf and a yellow scarf and all these different scarves and tons of printed scarves, and you want to, because you'll never be able to combine them. I don't want to say never, because never is a long time, but it's harder to combine that and then combine them with your clothing if you don't have red, white, and blue, or you don't feel like the 4th of July or patriotic. If you want to have a cohesive, small beginning, and I'm not stating this correctly, this is sometimes my issue. I've got so much in my head that I want to tell you, because it's important. These things are important. But if you start with a basic 10, 15 scarves, heck, if you start with 5 scarves that you can mix and match and add a bit of diversity, a bit with pins, a bit of accessories, you can put those, mix and match and use what you have, and you will have a fantastic Tichel wardrobe. Now, I hope that came out right. I hope it doesn't sound condescending, but again, these are things that I've learned through collecting. If I walk into my closet and I want to be neutral, it's kind of hard when everything is on this section here and I have reds and pinks and then blues and greens, because that's not going to go with like today's aesthetic, kind of calming and soothing and neutral. So again, I know this is long, and I appreciate you hanging in there. I'm gonna start talking about the actual wraps in the next section of this video.